Valari stood at the edge of the landing bay, her boots touching Earth's soil for the first time. The air smelled different, warm, rich, alive. She came from a planet called Zephyr, where logic ruled and feelings were seen as weakness. Emotions were not allowed. Desire was forbidden. Her people had no need for it. They evolved past it, so they believed. Valari was a scout, a researcher. Her mission was simple: observe humans, report back, and avoid contact. But fate had other plans. The human research lab was quiet when she entered. It was hidden in a mountain range far from cities. Her kind had watched it from space for months. No weapons, no threat. She moved through the metal hallway, her soft gray skin blending with the shadows. Her purple eyes scanned every door. Then she saw him, human male, alone, sitting by a console, focused, calm. He was tall. His skin was bronze, hair dark, eyes like the sky before a storm. Valari should have left. She should have turned around. But something held her there. A scent. She didn't know what it was at first. It was faint, sweet, warm. It slipped into her nose, then into her chest. Her heart skipped. Her breathing changed. It was like fire under her skin. She stepped back, but bumped into a metal shelf. It clanged. The human turned. Their eyes met. He stood slowly. "Hey, who are you?" Valari froze. Her body wouldn't move. Her legs felt weak. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Just heat, rising fast. "Are you okay?" the man asked, stepping closer. "Don't," she said softly. Her voice shook. "Don't come near." But he didn't stop. She stumbled backward, grabbing the wall. Her head spun. The scent was stronger now. It was coming from him. From the human. No, this wasn't normal. This wasn't right. "Are you hurt?" he asked again. His voice was calm, kind. She tried to reply. She wanted to say, "I'm fine." But the moment he reached out and touched her arm, her whole body reacted. A sharp wave of heat shot through her chest, her spine, her stomach. She gasped. Her knees gave out. The man caught her before she hit the ground. Everything went black. When Valari opened her eyes, she was in a white room, clean, cold. Machines beeped softly. She was lying on a bed. A blanket covered her. Her skin burned under it. The human was there, sitting in a chair, watching her. "You fainted," he said. "You're safe." "My name is Jack." She sat up fast. Too fast. Her head throbbed. "You shouldn't have touched me," she said. "You don't know what you've done." Jack frowned. "I just helped." "You were collapsing. You exposed me to something." Valari's eyes glowed slightly. "A scent." "From you." Jack looked confused. "Scent?" She stood wobbling. Her legs were weak again. Her hands trembled. "I need to leave," she whispered. "You need rest." "No," she said firmly. "You don't understand. I come from a species that does not feel. We do not desire. But your scent, it triggered something. Something old. Something forgotten." Jack stood too, but didn't move closer. Valari turned to the glass mirror in the room. Her reflection shocked her. Her cheeks had color. Her lips were fuller, her pupils wider. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. She was changing. Inside and outside. And worst of all, she didn't know how to stop it. Jack opened a drawer and took out a small scanner. "We ran some tests. Your body chemistry is reacting to human pheromones." "I figured that out," she said. "There's more," Jack added. "Your DNA, it's rewriting itself, very slowly." "But it's happening." Valari stared at him. "That's not possible." Jack met her eyes. "It is now." Valari didn't wait. She ran out of the room, ignoring Jack's voice calling her name. She had to escape. She had to get away from him before it got worse. But her body betrayed her again. At the end of the hallway, her legs stopped working. She dropped to her knees. breathing hard, and behind her, soft footsteps. "Valari," Jack said gently, kneeling beside her. She didn't look at him. "She couldn't. If you touch me again," she whispered, "I don't know what I'll become." Valari sat alone, in the corner of a quiet room. The walls were white, soft lights glowing from above. She had not spoken since she was brought back. Her hands were cold, but her body still burned from the inside. Every few seconds, she heard her own heartbeat, too loud, too fast. She was not supposed to feel this way. Her species had no heat, no hunger, no desire. But now, her body didn't listen to her mind. It moved on its own. It craved something. Or someone. Jack's scent still lingered in her thoughts. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face. Every time she breathed, she felt warmth flood her chest. This was not science. This was not logic. This was something wild. The door opened with a soft click. Jack stepped inside, carrying a small metal tray. It had water, food, and a tablet. "I thought you might be hungry," he said carefully. Valari didn't answer. She didn't even look at him. He set the tray down on the table and stepped back, keeping a distance. "I don't know what's happening to you," Jack said, "but I want to help. I'm not your enemy." "You already changed me," Valari replied quietly. Jack blinked. "I didn't mean to." She stood, her legs still trembling. Her skin felt too tight. Her eyes burned with something she had no word for. "My cells are different now," she said. "My senses are sharper. My body reacts to your presence, even when I try to stop it." Jack frowned. "Pheromones?" She nodded. "Yes, your scent. It triggered something inside me, something old, something buried by evolution." There was silence between them. Jack sat down slowly, watching her. "You said your species doesn't feel desire." "We don't," she said. "But now I do, and it's terrifying." Suddenly, her breathing sped up. Her chest rose and fell. Like a wave, her skin flushed. She grabbed the edge of the wall, her body shivering. Jack stood. "Are you okay? Stay back," she shouted, her voice raw and sharp. He didn't move. His hands stayed up in peace. "I need space," she said. "Every second near you, it gets worse." Without warning, she turned and ran. The hallways were empty and cold, but her body felt like fire. She ran past doors, machines, cameras. None of it mattered. She needed to get out. She needed air. She needed silence. Outside the facility, the night was deep. Stars covered the sky like tiny eyes. The forest beyond the fence was dark, but it didn't scare her. She kept running. Branches scratched her arms. Leaves brushed her skin. Still, she didn't stop. Finally, she reached a quiet clearing. There, she fell to her knees. She breathed hard, the cool air hitting her face, her chest, her skin. It helped, but only a little. Something deep inside her twisted. She didn't understand what she was becoming. She touched her wrist. Where Jack had held her. The warmth was still there, and that terrified her more than anything. Then she heard something behind. A soft crack. A footstep. She turned fast, eyes glowing. "Who's there?" Silence. Then a voice she didn't expect. "Valari, it's me." Jack. He had followed her. She stood furious. "Why are you here?" "I wanted to make sure you're safe." "You shouldn't have come." He stepped closer, slow, careful. "You're going through something big. You shouldn't be alone." Her voice dropped. "I am not just going through something. I'm changing." Jack looked at her with calm, gentle eyes. "I know." She clenched her fists. "I don't know if I can stop it. I don't know if I want to." Jack didn't answer. A soft breeze moved between them. The trees swayed. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called. Valari stepped back. "Please go, before I lose control." Jack looked at her one last time, then nodded. "I'll be nearby if you need me." He turned and walked away. Valari dropped to her knees again. Tears formed in her eyes. Her people didn't cry, but she wasn't sure. She was one of them anymore. Not. Fully. Not anymore. Night passed slowly. Valari didn't sleep. She sat in the forest, under tall trees and a cold sky. Her body ached. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark. She kept her arms around herself, trying to stop the heat from rising. But it didn't stop. It was getting worse. Every time she thought of Jack, his scent, his voice, the way he looked at her, something inside her stirred. Something hungry, something wild. She hated it. She feared it. But a part of her wanted more. She wasn't just reacting to a smell anymore. She was craving it. Valari stood up slowly. Her knees still felt weak. She had to find a place to hide. Far from humans, far from him. She needed to calm her body, to think clearly, to remember who she was. Not human, not emotional, not weak, a scout, a scientist. She walked deeper into the woods, past roots and rocks, until she found a quiet cave. Inside, it was cool and dark, safe. She curled up in a corner and closed her eyes, but her body wouldn't let her rest. It pulsed, it burned. Her skin was too sensitive. Her ears picked up every small sound, the buzz of insects, the wind outside, even her own heartbeat. She sat up fast, gasping. She needed to breathe. Her body felt like it was reaching for something that wasn't there. Then she heard them. Voices, footsteps, humans. They were nearby. Valari froze. Her heart jumped. She didn't know how, but they had found her. 3 of them, not Jack, strangers. They laughed, talked loud, carrying equipment. Maybe from the same research base. She backed away, deeper into the shadows. But it was too late. 1 of them saw her. "Hey, did you see that?" A flashlight beam hit her face. She hissed and shielded her eyes. "Wait, is that her?" "The alien girl?" "Don't get too close," said another. "She's unstable." They surrounded the entrance of the cave. Valari's skin lit with a soft glow. Her pupils widened. She could smell their fear, their curiosity, their scent. Her heat made it stronger. They were picking it up too. She saw it in their eyes. They didn't understand it, but they felt it. She had become dangerous. "Stay back," she warned. They didn't listen. 1 stepped forward. "We're just here to help," Valari screamed, not in fear, in pain. "In need." The sound echoed through the cave, through the trees, through the night. The men stopped. 1 stumbled backward. Another dropped his scanner. Then a voice came from the forest. Louder, stronger. "Get away from her." Double quotes Jack. He moved fast, straight between Valari and the others. "What the hell are you doing?" 1 man asked. "She's not stable." Another yelled. "I said leave." Jack shouted. Valar. I stared at him. He wasn't afraid. Not of her, not of what she was becoming. The men looked at each other, then slowly backed away. 1 cursed under his breath. But they left. Silence returned. Valari didn't move. Jack turned toward her. "Are you okay?" She stood. Her hands shook. Her chest rose and fell. Her hair stuck to her skin. Why do you keep following me?" she asked. He stepped closer, carefully. "Because you need someone to remind you you're not a monster." "I'm not sure that's true anymore." "You are," Jack said. "You're just changing." She closed her eyes. "You don't understand what it feels like. Then tell me." Valari opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was low. "It feels like my body belongs to someone else now. Like there's a fire inside me. It's always there. And it wants you, even when I don't want it to." Jack didn't speak. She stepped closer. "I can smell you from meters away. I can hear your heartbeat. Every time you talk, I feel something. Pull me toward you. I hate it, but I can't fight it." Jack's voice was soft. "Maybe you don't have to fight it alone." Valari looked up at the stars. Her heart ached. I don't want to lose myself, she whispered. Jack gently held out his hand. Then don't. She looked at his hand. Her own hand trembled. She didn't take it. Not yet. But she didn't run either. Valari didn't return to the lab, but the lab didn't forget her. Far above Earth, in the cold silence of orbit, her people watched everything. Zephyr High Council had seen her collapse. They saw her eyes glowing, her skin shifting, her voice breaking. They watched as her body disobeyed every law of their biology. This wasn't just a reaction anymore. It was evolution. The council feared it. They feared humans. They called it contamination. I called it something else. She sat near a stream, deep in the forest, her feet in the water. A soft breeze moved through her hair. The air was still heavy with scent, his scent. Jack. Even when he was far away, she felt him in her chest, in her skin, like a second heartbeat. She touched her wrist. Her veins glowed faintly. She looked into the water. And she didn't recognize herself. Her face had changed. Slightly fuller lips, softer jawline. Her eyes still violet, but now ringed with silver. Her voice had changed too. It trembled when she spoke. It carried heat. This wasn't a surface-level change. It was deep, core level. And it was spreading. Not just in her. She received a signal. That morning. A secret one. Meant only for scouts. Another Zephyr named Lix had come to Earth 3 days after her. And he was sick too. But not with heat. With something worse. Hallucinations. Memory gaps. Emotional storms. Valari stared at the blinking signal. On her communicator. One word. Help. She didn't hesitate. It took her 4 hours to reach the old satellite station where Lix was hiding. She found him curled on the floor, shaking, eyes wide, whispering names of humans he hadn't even met. He didn't recognize her at first. His skin was pale. His heart rate erratic. His voice cracked. They got inside me, Valari. I breathe them. I hear them, even when I sleep. Valari knelt beside him. She knew that feeling. Not sickness. Merging. She stayed with him until he calmed. She held his hand like Jack had once held hers. She didn't know if it helped, but it felt right. Later, she stepped outside the station and looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the council was watching, and they were scared. She could feel it now. This wasn't about her anymore. It was happening to others. And soon, it would happen to all Zephyr who came near humans. Valari turned on her communicator and opened a channel, encrypted, hidden. Only one person would hear it. Jack. She didn't speak right away. When she finally did, her voice was quiet, but steady. It's spreading. She paused. Then added, we don't have much time. Far above Earth, alarms began to ring in the Zephyr flagship. The council watched as more reports came in. 5, then 10, then 20 scouts reporting symptoms. 1 counselor slammed his hand on the table. This is a genetic threat, he said. Humans are not safe. Another whispered, they're not just dangerous. They are rewriting us. In the corner of the room, a screen flickered. Valari's face appeared, changed, glowing, calm. One counselor stared at her for a long moment. She doesn't look broken, he said. She looks awake. Silence filled the room, and somewhere, in the shadows of the ship, someone began preparing for war. Back on Earth, Valari walked through the forest with a slow, quiet step. She no longer tried to fight what was inside her, but she feared what was coming. She felt her people pulling away from her. She felt Jack getting closer, and she knew soon she would have to choose. Asterisk. The council chamber floated high above Earth, cold and silent, except for one sound, the deep hum of a warship waking up. The decision had been made. War was coming, not because humans fired first, but because humans changed what they touched. And Valari was proof. She stood in front of the High Council, her hands bound in glowing cuffs. Her skin shimmered faintly, not like Zephyr anymore, not quite human either. Her voice had changed. Her body had changed. Her mind was still her own, but they didn't believe that. "You were exposed," said the chief counselor. "You are no longer fit to speak." Vilari didn't look away. "Then I will speak not for myself. I will speak for what's coming." Gasps moved through the chamber. "You think you've evolved," said another counselor, disgusted. "I didn't evolve," Vilari said calmly. "I woke up." Silence again, heavy, sharp. "You are infected," the counselor hissed. Vilari smiled. "Slightly. Infection brings fever. I feel fire, yes, but I also feel choice, emotion, connection. You fear it because you can't control it." Outside the chamber windows, Earth spun slowly below. Blue, bright. A live dot inside. The council voted. 6 hands raised for destruction. 2 hands lowered for peace. One voice remained silent that the decision was sealed. In 3 Earth days. The first strike would begin. Back on the surface, Jack stood at the edge of the forest. He stared up at the sky. He hadn't heard from Vilari since her message. "We don't have much time." He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Something inside him told him this wasn't just about aliens anymore, that this was about survival. Of both species. Behind him, the lab team was preparing defenses. Earth's governments had seen the Council's warning. They were scared, but they didn't understand. This wasn't war with weapons. It was a war of biology. A war of scent, of feeling, of change. And they were already losing. Reports were coming. In aliens on Earth, Zephyr scientists, diplomats, traitors were breaking down. Some were falling into heat like Vilari. Others were transforming in stranger ways. One Zephyr man grew vocal cords, capable of singing. Another developed laughter. None of them had ever laughed before. Deep in space, the flagship's engines came alive, but before the first strike could launch, one final test was ordered. A test of will. Vilari was given a choice. Return to Earth. Lock yourself in with a human and prove you are still Zephyr. If you fail, the war begins. They gave her one name. Jack. She was dropped into a sealed room. With him. No guards. No doors. No escape. Just him. And the scent. The fire. Vilari stood in the middle of the room, silent. Jack stood on the other side. His eyes searched her face, trying to understand if she was still the person he once helped. "They're watching us," she said softly. "I figured," he said. "They want to see if I lose control." Jack nodded. "And if you do, they'll destroy Earth." Jack took a slow step forward. "Then don't lose." But it wasn't that simple. Vilari could already feel it. The heat was rising again. The space between them felt thinner. Her body remembered. The last time he touched her. Every part of her remembered. She tried to focus, to breathe. To hold on to logic. But the more she resisted, the more it pulled. Jack stepped closer. Vilari. I stepped back. "Don't," she whispered. "I might break." "Then break," he said, "and build something new." She shook her head. "You don't understand. If I give in now, I stop being Zephyr. I stop being me." Jack's voice was calm. "No, you become both." He reached out his hand. Her fingers twitched. The cameras watched. The council waited. The room grew hotter. Then, darkness. The feed cut off. Total blackout. No sound. No image. Nothing. The council sat frozen, staring at the empty screen, and one whispered, "What just happened in there?" Asterisk. No one knew what happened in that room. Not the council. Not Earth. Not even the machines meant to record it. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence. Inside the sealed chamber, the air had gone still. The lights had dimmed. The sensors picked up nothing. No movement, no sound, no life. The room was designed to observe every breath. And yet, it failed. The council grew restless. Some believed Vilari had lost control. Some believed the human had. overpowered her. Others whispered the unthinkable, that both had changed into something else, something new. They argued in circles. The war fleet remained armed, waiting for a signal. Earth's defenses stayed on high alert, but no one dared open the chamber. Until today. Jack stood near the far wall, still breathing, but barely. He hadn't slept. His skin was wet with sweat. His pulse was slow, but steady. He had seen things in Valari that science couldn't explain. Not rage, not madness. Something deeper. She had fought the heat again and again, but not by force. She spoke to it. She faced it like a storm, letting it crash into her, refusing to drown. Jack had watched her fall, scream, shake, and then rise again. She broke, but she didn't lose herself. She became still. Now she sat on the floor, her back straight, eyes closed. Her glow was gone. No more fire, no more trembling. Only peace. Jack finally spoke. Are you again? Valari opened her eyes. No, she said softly, but I'm not lost either. Jack walked over and sat beside her. What happened? He asked. Valari looked up at the walls, the invisible cameras. They wanted to see if I could survive the heat without turning into a beast. She smiled faintly. I did more than survive. Jack raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Valari reached out and gently touched his hand. Her fingers were cool now. My body still changes, she said. But now it listens to me. The heat doesn't control me. I guide it. Jack stared at her, unsure what to say. Valari stood slowly and looked at the ceiling. They will open the doors soon. How do you know? I can hear them breathing on the other side. Jack chuckled. She smiled too. But just as the silence turned calm, the walls shuddered. A heavy sound filled the room. The door began to open. Bright white light flooded in. Figures appeared. Council guards, scientists, observers. They stared in silence. Valari stepped out first. Her skin no longer shimmered. Her eyes had changed. Again now deep silver, glowing only when she blinked. The guards pointed scanners at her, blinking in disbelief. No pheromone spikes. No heat flare. No threat. She was stable, but undeniably changed. They scanned. Jack too, normal, human, calm. A council voice cracked through the air. What did you do in there? Valari answered plainly. I listened to the part of me you told me to fear. She walked forward, unafraid. I learned it doesn't have to be a curse. Another voice, this one sharper. Did you merge with the human? Valari tilted her head. No, she looked at Jack. We became equal. The room fell silent. No one clapped. No one spoke. But something in the air had shifted. The test had ended. But the results were not what anyone expected. In orbit, the warship still hovered, but it did not move. No missiles were launched. No strikes began. Instead, the council gathered in private. And whispered the question none of them wanted to ask. What if the real danger was not infection? What if it was transformation? And what if that transformation had already begun? 3 days after the door opened, Valari returned to the surface. She walked alone, unguarded, across the open fields outside the lab. The sun warmed her skin. Birds flew overhead. Every step she took felt different, lighter, but full of weight. She no longer moved like a scout. She moved like someone reborn. Jack waited for her under the shade of a tall tree. He stood up slowly. When he saw her, she didn't rush to him, but she didn't walk past him either. They stood face to face for a long time. Then she smiled just slightly. I passed their test, she said. Jack nodded. I figured. No explosions yet. They're still watching, Valari said. But something's changed. He raised an eyebrow. She looked at her own hands. My people aren't sure what I am anymore. She looked up at him. I'm not either. He stepped closer. Do you feel okay? Valari looked toward the sky. I feel balanced. Like everything inside me finally stopped fighting. Her eyes met his again. The heat is gone. Not because it died, because it became something else. Jack blinked. Like what? She smiled a little more. Like connection. Like trust, like will. She stepped closer, and this time she reached for his hand. He didn't hesitate. Their fingers touched. Nothing exploded, nothing burned. But something shifted in the airsoft. Deep and unseen dot in the orbiting warship, the council sat in silence, reviewing new data. Valari's DNA was no longer purely Zephyri, but it wasn't fully human either. She was something. New dot, stable dot, controlled dot, emotionally aware, but still sharp. Still strong. Some called it evolution. Others called it betrayal. One counselor stood and said, "We feared the humans would break us. But perhaps they've reminded us what we were before we froze ourselves." Another said, "She is dangerous. Not because she's changed, but because she's free." A third counselor, the youngest, stood slowly. "She's the first of something," he said, "and I think more are coming." Back on Earth, Valari and Jack sat by the river as the sun went down. He watched the water flow. She watched the light shift on his skin. "I don't think I can go back," she said. Jack nodded. "I didn't think you would." She turned to him. "But I can't stay here either, not as just me." Jack looked confused. Valari placed a small device between them. It glowed faintly. "A signal," she said. "To others like me. Others who've started to change." Jack's voice was low. "There are more." "Not many," she replied. "But soon there will be." He stared at the device, then at her. "What are you going to do?" Valari stood, her eyes glowing softly in the dusk. "I'm not going to run. I'm going to build." Jack stood too. "Build what?" She looked up at the stars. A place between species. Between logic and feeling. Between fear and love. Jack let out a breath. "That sounds big." She smiled. "So are we." Somewhere deep in space, a single Zephyri scout received the signal. Then another dot and another. Across planets. Across silence. Across fear, the message spread. Not a command, not a warning, just a voice. Valari's voice saying, "You are not broken. You are becoming." The future had already begun. With war, but with one touch and one choice. To feel. Asterisk.